Sometimes I feel invincible. I feel like I got the bad stuff. I feel like I'm in control. Until you got inside my head with something new. Now I can't sleep in this bed just thinking about how I'd be lost without you. You're gonna take me out. 'Cause I can hold my breath under the water. Yeah, I can take the pain, it doesn't bother me. But I wouldn't last a second without your love. No, I couldn't last a second without your love. Lock me outside, leave me in the cold. Abandon me here, feed me to the walls. But I wouldn't last a second without your love. No, I couldn't last a second without your love. Emotional support. I fight my demons one by one just for the sport. Oh, but I've been slipping lately. You got me going crazy. Now I'm down on my knees outside your door. There's no words. Got me searching for the right adjective of verb. Now I can't sleep in this bed just thinking about her. I'll be lost without. There's no doubt it's gonna bring me down. 'Cause I can hold my breath under the water. Yeah, I can take the pain, it doesn't bother me. But I wouldn't last a second without your love.
Hello, Tony Robbins community. Let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from, and let's get that energy up. Oh, yeah. Yes. That's what I'm talking about, everybody. Let's feel it. Let's raise the roof here. Oh, yes. Welcome, everybody. I'm Renee Marino, and welcome to today's special training. If you're feeling good, say, oh, yes. Let's shake the body out for a moment. Sit up in your seats with some energy, and you know what? Let's shake the building one more time. Come on, let's feel it. That's right. I love seeing these beautiful faces. Oh, yeah. This is gonna be an incredible day, everybody. Oh, yes. Can we give a round of applause for every single person from around the globe? What an incredible gift, yes. What an incredible gift to be able to support each other no matter the time zone. We want to thank you for making the time to be here. And first and foremost, we've got some celebrations to kick things off. First things first, today is a reunion. Many of you joined us a few months back at our Time to Rise Summit. If you were at the summit, make some noise. Put in the chat box, Summit in all caps. We are so happy to have you back. We also have so many of you who recently graduated from Unleash the Power Within 4 full days with Tony Robbins. If that's you, put graduate in the chat box. We are thrilled to have each and every one of you back. And we want to acknowledge you today for continuing to show up, to give your all, and to create momentum in your life. Speaking of that, let's get into today. One word, momentum. Each of us has had a peak experience with Tony, whether it was at the amazing summit in January or Unleash the Power Within. How many of you, by a show of hands, have ever thought after a peak experience, oh my goodness, this is gonna change my life? If you've had that feeling, say yes. But let me ask you, has anyone ever felt that energy and then lost momentum? Life happened, things got in the way. If that's you, give a wave on screen or type relate in the chat. Listen, it's normal. We're human beings. It happens to everybody. But here's the real question. Is it natural? Tony always says human beings are wired for growth. The most natural thing in life is consistent growth and expansion. So what gets in the way? What makes us lose our momentum? It's what Tony calls our patterns, old patterns of beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors that interrupt our progress, and that's why we're here today. Today, Tony's gonna share his 5 personal keys to transforming your life and staying there. And at the very end, Tony has a surprise announcement, so let me just say, stay until the end, it'll be worth it. What do you say? What do you say, everybody? Are you up for it? Are you ready to shake things up? Yes, all right. Here are a few quick tips to maximize your experience. Close out the distractions. Give yourself the gift of total focus. Right now, take 12 seconds to close every extra browser on your screen. Go ahead, I'll give you the seconds, go ahead. 2, take notes like crazy. These are the exact keys Tony uses in his own life. He always says success leaves clues. So listen deeply and see how you can apply these insights into your own life. And 3, play full out, baby. This is just like a live Tony event, full throttle, unleash the power within style. So wherever you are, turn on your cameras. We want to see you and your beautiful faces and have an incredible high energy experience. All right, my friends, before I bring Tony to the screen, you know what we need? We need that peak state, big energy. So sit up, shake your bodies out, roll those shoulders back, lift your head up. And on the count of 3, let's get wild for 10 seconds and bring Tony in with massive energy. So here we go on my count of 3. In 1, 2, 3, let's go! Yes! Let's see it, everybody! Now, my friends, help me welcome to the screen, Tony Robbins!
everybody, for the warm welcome. Listen, I just want to thank you all and congratulate you. I know so many of you, 1.5 million of you from almost every country in the world, 195 countries, all the countries the UN recognized, participated in the challenge in January. And I had a chance to see, your Facebook posts each day and how you're making progress and what you were doing. And I just want to thank you for playing so full out and also for supporting each other. And I know, though, after time, things drift a little bit. It's just you lose momentum. It's part of the process. It's like working out. You got to do it daily, right? So I want to give you a quick little mini training real fast. Just 5 little points that I think can help you to maximize and keep that momentum going and getting the results you want in your life. And if you just went through Unleash the Power Within, I know your results. I've been reading those. Those have been so inspiring. The transformations in your relationships, in your business, in your finances, in your money, financial, emotional areas, all the areas that matter most spiritually. It's been gorgeous to read and gorgeous to see. So I know you already have momentum, but I figure these are just 5 quick keys that'll be helpful. And then I want to give you a quick announcement of something really exciting. So please stick around for the end here so I can share that announcement with you as well. But let me just add some value to you in a simple way. We're living in challenging times, right? We made it through COVID. We got lots of inflation, and there's always something to be concerned about, something to be stressed about, because we're in a season called winter. Winter doesn't last forever. No, pandemic lasts forever. No war lasts forever. It doesn't matter what it is. Things come to an end, they change, and something new is created. But in order to make it through those times when it seems dark and challenging, we got to maximize our skills. And it's the skills to control our own mind, our own emotions, and our own results, our actions, which is where our results come from. And so I thought I'd share with you that when I was really just getting started, when I was really young, I was 17 years old, I was really obsessed with trying to find ways to improve my life. And part of that was I grew up in a really tough environment. Some of you know I had 4 different fathers, a pretty intense mom who I love dearly. She's since passed, but when she used drugs and alcohol, the mixture of those two, prescription drugs and alcohol, change your personality, make things pretty tough. So I grew up in a tough environment. But the good news about that tough environment is it made me look for answers. It didn't let me settle. It made me hungry. And if you ask me, what's the single most important element of someone's success? Well, obviously, intelligence is fairly important, right? Really, I love wickedly smart people. But there are lots of smart people that can't fight their way out of a paper bag. And the reason is because it's not enough to be smart. You have to be hungry to be more, to do more, to create more, to want to contribute more to the world, to not settle. And if you're watching me right now and listening to me right now, you obviously have that mindset, or you wouldn't pop on this little mini training here, this little conversation that we're having right now. So when I was 17 years old, I went to this seminar, some of you know, by Jim Rohn, this personal development speaker. And I know many of you probably heard of him. He passed away many years ago. But he taught me some really fundamental things. He taught me that for things to get better, you've got to get better. For things to change, you've got to change. You can't just hope. Hope is not a strategy. And he taught me the idea that success leaves clues, that if you want to be really successful at anything, you can. Find somebody who's super successful, figure out what they do differently than you, and do that. If you sow the same seeds, you'll reap the same rewards. So I remember going to a seminar. I was 17 years old. I scraped together the money. It was $35. It'd be like $250 in today's money for a little 3-hour seminar. And I was on fire, man. I was so excited. I was 17 years old. I'm going to go change the world. And of course, then I ran into some challenges because, in my family, there were quite a few conflicts. And one night, my mom decided to kick my father out, my 4th father. And she was a powerful lady. And my dad left, and I talked back a little bit, I guess, was the perception. I was just defending my dad. And so my mom chased me out of the house on Christmas Eve with a knife. And I knew she wasn't going to hurt me or kill me, but I wasn't going back in that house. And so it's Christmas Eve, it's raining, and I got to figure out what to do. I have nothing. I should kept my 1960 Volkswagen, earned it $40 a week as a janitor. And I decided I'll spend the night on top of this hill, this base little mountain nearby. And of course, then it rained. So I'm trying to stay warm under a tree, wrapped in these little blankets that I grabbed. And so the next night I went to a girlfriend's house, a girl that was a friend, not a girlfriend. And her parents let me stay in their laundry room. And I was depressed. I felt like my younger brother is 5 years younger. My sister's 7 years younger. They were the love of my lives, and I was separated from them. I was separated from my family, and I didn't know what to do. And I thought back on Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn had this philosophy, and I remember him sharing. He said, one of the most important things you have to every day is stand guard at the door of your own mind. That somehow you've got to train your mind to think the right thoughts, because all of our emotions come from our thinking, all our relationships come from our emotions, all of the results, all of our actions come from our emotions and decisions. So if you can take control of that, you can change your whole life. And I remember when he was with me, when I was sitting there that night feeling so depressed, it's like, I've got to change my life. What do I got to do? I got to take control of my mind. And so the first thing I did was I took a little bit of cash I had. I had about, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks, 20, 23, 24, $25, something like that. And I took these buses to this bookstore that was about, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes away. And it was a spiritual bookstore I'd been to once. And I just felt like I'm going to find a book there that's going to change my life. Because Jim Rohn had always said, leaders are readers. And I picked up this book called The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol. And in this book, I read every page over and over again. It talked about how to program your mind, how to condition your brain and your thinking. And you should write your goals on a mirror and look through at yourself at those goals and see your own eyes and absorb that. And I made these posters that said, you know, only a loser is depressed. Now, that's not true. People get depressed who are not losers. But to me, I was not a loser. So I use that as leverage to make changing myself a must and not let myself stay depressed. And, you know, Jim Rohn, when I met him, he had this really interesting philosophy. He said, you know, think about it this way, Tony. He says, because I was telling him about my life and I was having all these challenges and, you know, reaching out, trying to get some way of getting some help to go to work for him. And he said, Tony, you know, people get what they have to have, but you have to train your mind. You're just settling for so much. And he said, you know, you can tell me all these things, but who are you spending time with? Who's feeding your mind? And I told him a few people. He goes, well, they're the wrong people to hang out with. He said, think of it this way, Tony. What if your worst enemy drops sugar in your coffee? What's going to happen? I said, you're going to have sweet coffee. He said, what if your best friend or a family member or somebody that really loves you by accident, not intentionally, drops one drop of strychnine in your coffee? I said, you'd be dead. He goes, that's right. So life is both sugar and strychnine, so you got to watch your coffee. He said, every day, stand guard at the door of your mind. And what that means, Tony, is you have to feed your mind. Whatever you feed it is what you experience. And he said, the more you feed it the right things, the stronger you'll become, the more decisive, the more clear. But you can't let the world feed you that. Because most of us know at this point, you know, the media, they're not bad people. They're just doing their job. What is their job? It's to get our attention, right? The news is not designed to inform us anymore. It's designed to startle us because we're not in an information age. There's too much information, right? People are drowning in information. They're starving for wisdom. And so he said, you've got to go pursue it. Like, great ideas are not going to interrupt you, Tony. He said, the stuff that's going to interrupt you, like today, it comes to your phone, right? We call it clickbait. It's just something designed to grab your attention. No, get a book, he said. You need to make this your discipline. He said, every day you got to feed and strengthen your mind. Stand the guard at the door of your mind. Don't let other things in and feed it. And he said, the way you do it is you get books and you read at least 30 minutes a day. He goes, miss a meal, don't miss your 30 minutes. Because that's the fabric you're going to feed your life from. He used to say something humorous. You said, you know, Tony, if you want to be successful and you want to be happy, you don't want to be fulfilled, he said, find out what poor people read and don't read it. And he said, I don't mean poor just financially. Do you ever notice how mad people get more mad, angry people get more angry, sad people get more sad, happy people tend to get more happy? He said, you got to find out what they're doing different than you are. And if you keep feeding your mind on a daily basis, it'll accumulate. And pretty soon you'll be thinking differently than everyone else. You'll make different decisions. You'll have a completely different life. Plus, you know, one thing I learned over the years is if you want to be happy, what's going to make you really happy? There's no thing will make you happy. He always taught me, Tony, what you get won't make you happy. Who you become will make you really happy or really sad. And it's not just getting there. Like, you know, if you don't protect your mind, you can achieve something and still be depressed. I'm sure you know people that achieved everything and took their own lives. So it's not enough. What makes us really happy is one word: progress. Progress equals happiness. If you can find a way to keep making progress daily, you are going to feel on fire. Even if you want to lose 30 pounds, you only lose the first 3 or 4 pounds. Just those first 3 or 4 pounds will give you momentum. Plus, whenever you achieve a goal, how long do you stay happy? How long? A week, a month, a year, 6 months, 10 years? No. Most people, that joy or happiness of their achievement lasts a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, or a few months at most. Isn't it true? And the reason is we're not designed to sit at the table of success too long or we get bored and fat. What we really need is to make progress, to keep growing, because when we grow, we have more to give. And when we give, our life is really meaningful. So for me, the first and most important lesson of all was really that success leaves clues and the answers are out there. And I decided I'm going to read a book a day. I took a speed reading course and I didn't read a book a day, but I read about 700 books, a little more than that, over 7 years. And I did it because I wanted to feed my mind. I found books on philosophy, on psychology, on physiology, how you could change your body, anything that I thought could improve my life. And what I did was I committed to not just read, but to apply what I was reading. Find one thing I could apply and do something with it. Because Jim Rohn used to always say, if you let your learning lead to knowledge, you become a fool. If you let your learning lead to action, you can change your whole life and you can help others do the same. And so for decades and decades, I did this. Now, after a while, I found it hard to get that 30 minutes in. You might find it hard to get those 30 minutes in because I spent time in my car driving to and from the places I was working, which was usually somewhere between 45 minutes an hour each way. And so gradually I started using audio. And now that's easy, but back then it was hard. It's like, where do I get these things that are going to teach me? You couldn't go on YouTube and just get stuff for free, which I had to go down and literally drive down in my little Volkswagen. I got a 1968 Volkswagen and I upgraded. And I went down to downtown Los Angeles, where there's this place called Night Education, K-N-I-G-H-T, like knight with a sword. And there's this man named Mario. He's this Jewish man, beautiful man that became my friend. He was an older man. And I came with my little pot belly. I was 5'1", believe it or not, little short, fat kid. And I said, I want to learn how to change my life. And he goes, well, I have everything here. And this is a day, those of you would not understand, we have these things called cassette tapes were a breakthrough. Before that, it was albums and 8 tracks. You had these little cassette tapes that are really portable. You could listen to them on a little player. You could stick it in your car and play it. There weren't car players in those days, but just you could have a little handheld thing. And in those days, if you wanted to learn something, he had all the best teachers, psychologists, psychiatrists, motivational speakers. But it would be like $300 for 6 cassette tapes and like 3 workbooks. That was the price. And I was making, $40 a week as a janitor. And so I learned that I got to take the money I've saved and invest it in the most important investment of all, which is me. Jim Rohn taught me that there is nothing more important than investing in yourself. And it's ironic. A few years back when I was interviewing Warren Buffett, and I said, what's the single most important investment you've ever made? And I thought he was going to say Coca-Cola because I know his investments are Geico. And he goes, Tony, it's what you do. And I said, what do you mean what I do? I do a lot of things. And he said, it's investing in yourself. He said, I went to Dale Carnegie when I was a kid. He said, just a young man. And without the ability to learn how to communicate, all my other ideas would have been a waste. I wouldn't be who I am today. He said, and by the way, people talk about inflation. They're worried about inflation. Inflation, whatever percentage, 8, 9, 10%, less, more, who cares? As long as you become productive, inflation doesn't mean anything, right? If you become better, stronger, smarter, and what he said at the time was he said, Tony, think about this. No one can tax the improvements you make on yourself. And those are things, when you invest in yourself, those are rewards you get to use skills or abilities or emotions or thoughts. You can use those for the rest of your life. And he said, and all you got to do is become 10% more productive. Well, people learn how to make twice as much money in the same time, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, if they find a way to add value. So the first key of the 5 keys I want to give you is you've got to decide every day to feed your mind and strengthen it every day. 30 minutes a day. You can do it with audio. That's what I use most of the time because I can do it what I call net time, no extra time. I can do it while I'm driving in my car. I can do it while I'm working out. I'm doing it helping around the house. And so it allows me to turn like my car and do university on wheels. And so I really want to encourage you this. And if you're going to really make long-term change, you need some daily habits. Does that make sense? If you go to a program immersion, you're going to have explosive change, but then you need the daily habits to keep it growing. And those daily habits is that 30 minutes a day. Are you up for it? All right, good. So by the way, that process of feeding my mind has an accumulative effect. As I mentioned, it stacks and it stacks. Just like if you know finance, if you keep building, you hit a place called critical mass where you have so much value that you're financially free. Well, the same thing happens with your own mind and psychology. But besides feeding and strengthening your mind, the second key you got to do every single day is feed and strengthen your body. And that's not just so you're healthy. It's because your mind and your body work as one. Think about it. Fear is physical. Have you ever been like so uptight, so worried, so stressed, so fearful that it's like, You had a hard time swallowing, or you felt that feeling in your gut. Well, that's physical. So is courage. Fear is physical, but courage is also. Think about it. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Like, courage means you're afraid, but you did it anyway. You pushed through it. You found that strength inside yourself. And courage is a habit. It's something that could be trained, but you got to be physical to do it. And I learned this from my teachers, not only Jim Rohn, but I really learned this when I started studying neurolinguistic programming, NLP, with the co-founder John Grinder. He taught me that the way you use your body completely wires the way your emotions work as well. So while you're feeding your mind, you got to strengthen that body. Now, some of you know I have a daily discipline, and the first thing I do each day is I jump in this freezing cold water. I'm fortunate enough to have multiple homes, and in each of those homes, I do that. And the water is 56 degrees. At my place in Sun Valley, Idaho, I just had some of my platinum partners there, and we had a party that night, and we all walked through the snow and jumped into the freezing water and got out. Now, this is not designed to be torture, but number one, it has a huge physical effect on your body. It instantly changes the blood flow through your entire body, moves the lymph in your body. So it's really powerful. And it never feels good going in. I've never had a day where I was like, I can't wait to go in the cold water. Never, right? But I do it every day, and I don't hesitate. Why? Because I'm training my brain not only to change my body, but to be in charge of my own mind. Right? By using my body, I'm training my brain to say, there's no hesitancy. I don't negotiate with myself. I don't go, well, in a minute when I'm ready, or maybe tomorrow. It's just like, when I say go, we go. And I've done that so often that my nervous system, when I say I'm going to make something happen, it doesn't hold back. It just knows I mean it, and we go for it. So that's just one daily discipline. But maybe it's a workout for you, or maybe it's just something you do. It doesn't have to be like your 30-minute, 40-minute hour workout. Maybe that's a few days a week, whatever you do for working out. But it's something you can do for as little as a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It could be a super strong walk or a nice sprint or in the freezing water or lifting some weights. Something where you have to push yourself beyond what you're comfortable with. Because every time you do that, you build mental, emotional, spiritual muscle, not just physical muscle. Because the mind and body work together. So come up with a daily practice that you're going to do. Something could be really brief, but it's designed to snap you into the strongest state, put you in a state where you push through limitation and fear, because that's the only thing that stops us. Right? We can all get through anything. I know achievers aren't fearful, they just get stressed, right? But stress is the achiever word for fear. When you're stressed about something, I'm stressed about getting this done. Why? Well, if I don't get it done, it'll fall apart. Well, what if it falls apart? Well, then it'll fail. What if it fails? Then I'm a failure. Forget all that. If you feed your mind every single day, just 30 minutes, and you give yourself something, 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, every day, at least 6 days a week, physical, where you're pushing through, where you feel that blood pump and that strength, I'm telling you, it'll change your life more than anything else. And by the way, these are the 5 things I did not only when I first was kicked out of my house, but I did this again in 2008 when the world financial crisis hit, and I had all these companies, and many of them looked like they're going to go bankrupt. Because overnight, the government wasn't supplying money like they did after COVID. It was just a total upside down of the world. Some of you remember that year. And fortunately, none of the companies went under, but it was unbelievably stressful. So I did the same thing. I started feeding my mind. I made my body strong. Went back to these same fundamentals. Key number 3, real quick. You need to find yourself some great role models. Role models make your dreams real. And a role model is not a perfect person. When I was growing up, the biggest thing that seemed to be the problem in my family was money. One of the reasons I feed 100 million people a year, and I've already fed over 1 billion people through Feeding America. Now I'm working on my 100 billion meal challenge. It's not because I'm such a good person. I love to say that. It's I know what it feels like to suffer, and I don't want anybody else to suffer. And so I want to find answers. And early on in my life, my mom kept divorcing fathers of mine. And it was always, we had no money. So I figured money is what destroys relationships. You got to have abundance. And of course, later on in life, I realized that if my family had money, my parents still would have broken up. It was more than just money. But when money isn't handled, when it's a challenge, it can affect your health. It can affect your relationship, all kinds of things. So I decided I was going to master money. And in order to do that, I needed some role models because it seemed impossible to me. Because there was no one in my family or extended family that had done well financially. No one. I had no reference for that. I only read about rich people and things like that. And many people around me had all these judgments about them. And I was like, well, they can't be that bad a person if they built companies and businesses and employed people and provide scholarships and everything else. And so I started to dig again by reading. That was my way of leaving the limited world I was in And then I went to say, who are role models I could study? And so I found Sir John Templeton. And he wasn't Sir when he started, he was just John Templeton. He from humble roots, but he was a man who became a self-made billionaire, the first self-made billionaire by investing, starting with nothing. And the way he did it is his parents taught him two things. Number one, you're going to save 50% of all you earn. Now, when you teach a kid to do that when they're a kid, they develop the habits, and he managed to do that. Today, people would say, oh, that's impossible. Nothing's impossible. But the most important thing they taught him was the psychology. And this is what I learned from him. I got a chance to study him. And then when I was 30 years old, I got to meet him, interview him. And then I did one of the last interviews before he died, about 4 days before he died. So I got to know the man well. And he's a beautiful man who not only was very wealthy, a billionaire, but he was a man who donated so much money and time and energy to spiritual practices. He donated more than a Nobel Prize for his Templeton Prize that's still out there for people to make the biggest difference spiritually, regardless of what their religion is. And so a beautiful man. But the bottom line is his family taught him, and he learned that you need to know that the worst times don't last forever. No, everything is cyclical. It's like seasons. There's winters, and then winter's followed by springtime. After the worst night, you have a daytime, right? After all the horrible things, beauty happens. That's the cycle of life. And then things will go easy when it's springtime. And then it's kind of a hot summer that tests you. And then there's a great fall. We get rewarded. And then there's a winter again. That's the way season works. And that's what happens within our lives. And so they taught him, you're going to make all your money if you keep your head straight during times of maximum pessimism. When everybody's pessimistic, you can take a small amount of money and earn an enormous amount because you can invest in things. When things are going really well, people want more than their house is worth. They want more than their business is worth. When things are going through the floor and everybody thinks it's the end of the world, it's never the end of the world. It just seems like it. Never lasts. Like I said, no war lasts forever. No recession or depression lasts forever in history. No pandemic lasts forever. What may last longer than you want, but not forever. And now on the other side is beautiful times. And so he learned to do that. And I learned from him. And it became a role model. So he showed me there was a way, starting with nothing, that I could add value to people's lives, and I could also learn to be an investor, and I could grow. So role models aren't perfect, and you might want several, and you're not looking for perfection. Study what they do. Some people are great in their business, terrible with their kids. Don't model that. Find somebody who's great with their kids and model them. That's where the 6 less leaves clues comes. Okay, quickly. Number 4, I said I'd do these fast. Number 4 is you really want to find yourself in a place where you get yourself to no longer just think, but you take action. Like if someone said to you, I know this self-made billionaire who has spent 30 years of their life studying how to improve businesses or improve their life, or I know this person who's lost 40 pounds and kept it off for 10 years, and they're willing to share with you exactly what they did. Well, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you take advantage of it? You and I would, but most people don't. And you and I invest in ourselves. Most people won't. They say, well, I don't have the money, I don't have the time. They come up with every reason. But one of the things I learned early on is there's no excuse for not taking action. That if you want to be rewarded in this life, when an opportunity shows up, grab it. Grab it by the hair. Don't let it go. Not every opportunity is going to be great. But if you don't take advantage, if you don't say there's a reason this is in front of me right now and I got to do something with it, then it just becomes knowledge, it becomes interesting, and your life doesn't change. Action, massive action is what changes your life. And some people are afraid to take action because they go, I don't know the right thing to do. Well, it's better to take action and see whether it works or not. And if it doesn't, try something different than to sit here and just contemplate what you want to do in the future. So one of the great things I got from Jim Rohn was really the importance of action. If you're not sure what to do something, find a role model, find out what they did first, do the same thing. If you don't know where to start, throw the rock up where it lands, talk to the next person walks by. You're the first person off the rock. I got to ask you something, right? Anything to get momentum going, but massive action is the cure-all. And here's the final step, real fast. And that is, you've got to make sure that if you want an extraordinary life, a life that's meaningful, a life where you're proud, a life where you feel a sense of grace, yes, you must grow. That's what all these other things make us do. But also you must give. And it's not a must give, because when you grow, you want to give. When you grow, you have the gift of something to give someone that's valuable. And early in my life, I realized, my God, there's certain areas of life that really matter. And most people major in minor things. You know what I mean? They know more about some celebrity's sex life than they know about their own mind, their body, their emotions, their relationships, their business, their career, or their spiritual part of their life. And so I thought, those are the areas that matter, right? It's your body, it's your emotions, it's the sense of meaning in life, it's relationships. That's where all the joy and happiness comes from. It's your career or your work, or hopefully it's your mission, your calling. It's really mastering your finances so you're free. And it's being able to celebrate and contribute that makes life so meaningful. And if you really focus on those areas, I decided that's what life's about. And I want to learn from the very best in every one of those areas. But then also, a lot of people say, well, yeah, I got to work on me. And then you get trapped in yourself. So you got to balance that by giving back. And a lot of people, I have a friend, Mike Keys, who I've known for 44 years, I think. We both went to Jim Rohn's seminar back when I was 17. He was, I think, 23 at the time. And we were both broke. He was a little less broke than I am. He could pay for the hotel room. And the seminar back in those days was, it was just, what was it, three-day seminar, 3.5-day seminar, all day, all night, showing you leadership skills, management, time management, all these different tools. And I had to borrow $1,200 to go there. It would be like $12,000 today if you look at inflationary dollars. And went to a bank, didn't have the right ability to do it, convinced them to loan me the money, took $1,200. It was such a huge investment, man. When I was in that seminar, Mike and I met, and Mike let me stay in his room because I would have been sleeping in my car otherwise, because literally I took every penny I had to go to the seminar. And when I was in the seminar, because I invested so much, it's like I didn't miss a thing. I didn't go to pee. I just sat there. If he said the, I wrote the down. In fact, at one point, I found out every word was worth like 3 cents. It's not going to miss anything. But what's so interesting is both of us grew like crazy. And the other day, Mike was telling me he was on an airplane and somebody was reading one of my books. I think it was Life Force. And he was sitting beside him. And the guy looked over and said, hey, have you seen this guy? Have you ever heard about this guy, Tony Robbins? And he goes, yeah, I think I heard a little about. What? Tell me about him. He goes, wow, he's amazing. He's got these tools and I've learned these things and changed my body and my mind. And he's really philanthropic also. He does all these great things. And he said, but of course he's rich, so that's easy. And Mike said, really, you think he does that just because he's rich? He said, what would you say if I told you I'd known him since he was 17 years old? And I can remember he was 17, he had no money. And he took the little bit of money he had and went out and fed 2 families for Thanksgiving. He said, what if I told you the next year he did 4 and then 8? And now you read about him doing 100 million meals a year, 1 billion meals. It's like, the thing what Tony would say to you, and it is what I say to all of you, is if you won't give a dime out of $1, you're sure as heck not going to give 1 million out of 10 million or 100 million out of 1 billion. Is not going to happen. But there's something more magical. It's not about the money. I remember I was interviewing Sir John Templeton and I was asking, what's the secret to wealth? And he said, you teach it, Tony. I've heard this many times. I said, well, I teach a lot of things again, just like Warren had said to me. I said, well, but what aspect of what I teach? He said, Tony, it's really what you talk about of adding value. But what makes you really wealthy is gratitude and appreciation. He said, if you can give when it's uncomfortable, he goes, that's where you're going to grow. He goes, I don't know a single person who practiced tithing, giving 10% of what they earn, who hasn't become wealthy within 5 to 10 years. Not a single person in my lifetime. And he goes, I did it. And he said, but most people say they're going to do that when it's comfortable. They're going to do it when it's ready. And he said, the other part you need besides the giving is just the gratitude. He goes, if you got $1 billion and you're angry all the time, your life is angry. But if whatever you have, you're really grateful for it every single day, your family, your health, your vitality, whatever, your opportunities, he said, then you're really a wealthy man. And I can remember I had done this, thank God, so I could relate to this at the time when I was really struggling. I'd gone to work for Jim Rohn. I succeeded and then had a real challenging time. Anytime you start a new business, that tends to happen. You have some learnings. And I was feeling just beaten to the ground and exhausted. And I was like, God, why is this not working? I've given my all. And I was focused on me. And I realized it's because I'm focused on me now. I started out being focused on everybody else. Now I'm focused on what I'm not getting. And I remember I pulled over on the side of the road and I still have to this day this journal, a full page, a written journal I wrote, The Secret to Living is Giving. And I started to cry and it started to change my life. And a few weeks later, I had almost no money. And without telling you the whole story right now, I gave away the last, $21, 19 change, whatever it was that I had to a person that needed it. And I wasn't going to have money for food. I wasn't even worried about it. It was this weird thing. It's suddenly by giving, I was freed. I was freed from scarcity. I know people that are billionaires that are still scarce, meaning they still worry about stuff. They have more money than they could ever spend. because you don't ever get beyond scarcity, you start beyond it. It's a decision. So if you can, what I'd encourage you to do is go help somebody who's worse off than you. If you think your life's in a tough place, find somebody tougher and help them. Or take your kids and go to a food shelter and feed people for even an hour once a month. If you do it, it'll change your life forever. Because number one, it'll remind you how lucky you are. And number two, it'll remind you that you're here to give. And when you're a giver instead of a taker, boy, life becomes so much more beautiful. And these 5 simple little things, every day, feeding and strengthening your mind. 30 minutes a day, audio or reading, but going getting something conscious, not the crap that comes to you on your phone, not clickbait, not something that's going to pull you down a rabbit hole on some social media element, something conscious that's going to make you grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, give you new skills. And then if every day you do something to strengthen and feed that body of yours, to make it stronger, something that pushes it, even just for a few minutes. And by the way, one of the things you can do also each day, I do, is called priming. And if you want, I'll give you a little gift. Go to TonyRobbins.com/priming, PRIMING. And there's a 10-minute process I do every single day to prepare my mind for the day. It's called priming. I encourage you to do it. But if you do that, and you do that with your body, and then you find some great role models, that'll help you make your goals real. And then you take massive action, keep changing your approach, and you give much more than you expect to receive, it's impossible. It doesn't always come back from the person you gave to, by the way. Well, you're busy noticing they're not giving, and someone back here is giving you something you're not noticing, It's just the beautiful cycle of life. So I hope that you'll look at these as 5 daily habits. Because when people ask me, like, what do you do to stay in this place? Well, it's not like I went to a seminar once, 45 years ago, 46 years ago, and then my life was perfect. That'd be like saying I worked out once and now I'm fit for life. No. If you have a great life, you have daily practices, right? So here's what I do. 1, people in my seminars know this. I always teach on the last day. I, once or twice a year, do some form of immersion seminar somewhere. I've done crazy things. I had no sleep, no time, but I lock these in once a year. Something's going to make me grow. One of the more intense ones was I went for 7 days and they put these electrodes on your head and measure you. And I go for 12 hours in a day in this dark room so I could train my mind to use alpha thinking. Alpha thinking puts you in a gorgeous state where you're able to find great solutions. It's a part of your brain. I do these things still. So I do something once or twice a year like that. And then the most important thing I do is I have coaches. In my case, I have 4 of them. They're all 18 to 20 years my senior. They're all geniuses in their right mind. Because even though I know a ton, we all need somebody we can bounce off of just briefly. Once a month or twice a month, 20, 30 minutes, but where you're being held accountable, but also where you're learning from someone who's already done it. Which is what I've learned for over my life. That's how you keep making major progress. But the most important thing is a daily practice. It's making sure you have something you're doing every day that you do that makes you stronger, wiser, more loving, more passionate, more alive, more healthy, and more on target for what matters. Because otherwise, the world will pull your attention. Because remember, we don't experience life. We experience the life we focus on. And what's wrong is always available, and there's someone going to show it to you. But so is what's right. What's right is always available. Solutions are always available. But if you have these kind of daily practices, you'll create that momentum. So I hope these 5 things. Are you willing to do them? 20, 30 minutes a day, no less than 20, 30 minutes a day, reading or audio. 2, at least 5, 10 minutes, ideally 15 to 20 minutes to get your body strong every day. A simple practice that you're going to do. 3, find those role models and study them. 4, put a massive action plan together and do the first thing. If it doesn't work, just change your approach. Doesn't work, change again. Find a good role model and you'll know the shortcut of how to get there quicker. And then finally, give more than you expect to receive. All right? So listen, here's my announcement. I was thinking a lot about reading some of you, and especially some of you that went to the challenge. You got this great momentum, and that was January. Now some time has gone by, and guess what? There's a momentum starts to drop a little bit. It's natural. That's why you got to retrain. It's like building a muscle. And so I thought about, for a lot of people, it's like trying to go to an event seems like a lot. Now we've made them now, you can do them in your home, and we've made them the price point so much lower because you don't have to travel and do hotels and things of that nature. But I want to do something where no one is left behind. And so for years, people have said, Tony, I put all this stuff for free on YouTube and people listen to it every day. But the challenge is it's just random, something to inspire you. And I think inspiration's great. That's why I put it out there for people. But I've spent my life building systems to get results. You don't get results just by being inspired. It's a good first step. But being pumped up is wonderful, but an excited chicken with their head cut off is not going to do well. We need very specific strategies to change our finances, very specific strategies to move up in our careers or in building our businesses, very specific strategies to transform our energy and our health and our vibrancy, very specific things to make your relationships not just okay and good, but passionate, right? And so for my life, what I've done is figure out who are the best in the world and study them to figure out what are they doing different than me or you or anyone else, and then put that into what I call e-cubing format, a format where it's so entertaining, you're engaged, but you also are getting the second E, the best education, the tools that really work. And then while you're in state, getting you to do some small step. If you do a small step every day, you get momentum. If you have to take one giant step, people tend to be overwhelmed. They're afraid of failing or it's not going to work. So I've built these systems over the years, and I've got literally hundreds of hours of programs on your body, on learning to master your time, on learning how to master your relationship, on what to do to make change, lasting change. People say, I lost 100 pounds, 10 pounds, 10 times, same 10 pounds. No, I'm talking about lasting change, where you make the change and it stays. And so those programs over the years have been built, and they're each about $300 each, and there's more than a dozen of them, 13 or 14. So here's what I've done. I decided, and people wanted me to coach them. That's not practical. I coach maximum 7 people a year. I charge $1 million each to coach. I only coach them 3 times a year for about 90 minutes individually. But I'm able to produce great value. And I'm one of the people I've coached now for, 23 years, to give you an idea in that area. So here's what I've created. I've created something called the Inner Circle. Because people said for years, could you put something together and make all this available? And here's what it is really simply. I've taken all of the programs, the audiovisual programs that I've built, and the systems of change, and put them so you have them available 24/7, 365 on an app. So no matter where you are, whenever you need it, I'm there with the tools you need. And so you can have that daily practice, something you do 20, 30 minutes a day with the very best of what we found. And literally more than 3 or 4 years worth of content for you if you did it every day, to give you an idea. It's that valuable. And then the second thing I did is I said, I got everybody a group coach, so that once a month you can come on and be guided through one of those programs so you make really measurable results. And then the third part of that is really me joining you, just like this, to do a session and do Q&A about what's happening in the world, what's happening in your lives. And it's pretty phenomenal. And then finally, you're part of a community of people, of like-minded people that are committed to taking their life to the next level. So it's called the Tony Robbins Inner Circle. And here's the cool thing. It's got literally thousands of dollars of the value in it of different programs that I built over the years, and the coaching and me. And the whole program is literally, so no one gets left behind, it's $97 a month, literally. And if you want to, and you pay for the year in advance, I think you save 33% or 3 months or something like that. They'll tell you on the screen. But if this appeals to you, if you'd like to keep the momentum going and you want a program that's going to give you the answers for each area of your life, be part of an incredible community and have coaching all at a price point that's lower than anything we've done before, then decide to join Inner Circle. It's $97 a month or whatever the amount is, paid in full there. You save 3 months or 33%. We'd love to have you. So I hope these 5 keys are valuable. If you decide not to be over Inner Circle, please apply those 5. And I hope that you decide to join me and that we can have an ongoing relationship like this. And I just want to thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And I'm going to throw you back to our team here, sending you all my best. Live strong and live with passion.
Let's give it up for Tony Robbins, everybody. Let's hear it. Wow. So incredible. Oh, yes. All right, I'll take a brief moment here to share with you how you can get inside the Inner Circle. You heard it from Tony. Who's excited about the Inner Circle? Who's excited? It is such a phenomenal and valuable community. I know Tony walked you through what the Inner Circle is, so I just want to take 2 minutes to share with you the different parts of it. First things first, what is the Inner Circle? At its core, it is the single best way to guarantee you do not fall off your path. Tony always says, no one left behind, and that's what this program is all about. It's the greatest self-growth and development training club on the planet. People just like you coming together to go deep on the teachings of Tony Robbins and to have proximity to Tony himself. Tony always says proximity is power. So let's share with you what you get. The first thing you're gonna get is live mentoring from Tony 2 times a year. And to be very honest with you, the majority of our Inner Circle members are here just for this. Everything else is just gravy on top, it's a bonus on top. For $97 a month, you get to work with Tony 2 times a year for 90 minutes. This is mind-blowing. And just to give you a sense of what I mean here, people are on a wait list for 4 years to spend just 8 hours with him, and it costs $1 million. You get him 2 times a year from his living room. Talk about proximity, okay? And what he does is he picks a topic that's most relevant to what's happening in our lives right now. And he also does live interventions. So that means he might bring you up and work with you live. To have this level of access to Tony Robbins for $97 a month is insane. All you have to do is go to tonysinnercircle.com and enroll today. We also have a special gift for you. As I said, it's $97 a month, or if you go all in for the year, you commit to a full year, you get 3 months free. 3 months free, which is absolutely incredible. And this is only for this event. But there's more. So let's keep going because the best parts are still coming. The next thing you get is access to Tony's entire suite of training courses, his entire library. Okay, so this means on-demand access 365 days a year, 24/7, right in the palm of your hand. You just use the Tony Robbins Arena app right from your phone. And this requires net time, no extra time. So drop that in the chat, net time. This means that you can pop in your earbuds, listen to one of the trainings as you're grocery shopping or you're at the gym. If you need business and sales training, he's got it. If you want to master your financial literacy, done. Time management, he's got it. Relationships, you want more passion, zest, spunk, there's a course for that. It's literally like Christmas presents. You're opening them whenever you want. And normally, this entire library, all of this would cost over $2,500, but Inner Circle members get all of them for just $97 a month. Go to tonysinnercircle.com and start today. Don't miss another moment. The next thing that you get, make sure you're writing this down, okay, pen to paper, so you don't forget, monthly live group workshops. And these are optional but powerful. I would not miss these because what you get is a Tony Robbins top coach guiding you through content. And this means that every single month, your coach breaks down the content, helps you decipher action items, holds you accountable. Let's be real for a second. Raise your hand if you joined us in the summit, and be honest if you've lost some momentum since the challenge. It's okay, you're not alone. But what if someone was there every month with you to help you get back on track? Well, that's what this is all about, and this is exactly what Tony is providing here. The best part, you're in this with the most beautiful community in the world. And my friends, I can't stress enough, the power of community is limitless. So if you happen to be flying solo in this journey and you want a family that's dedicated to growth, this is the place to be. Go to tonysinnercircle.com. $97 gets you in. Listen, Tony's mission is to change lives everywhere. And this program is for everyone, not just those with time, money, and resources. And even though this is already a crazy great offer, okay, Tony does one thing consistently, it's over-deliver. So he wants to sweeten this deal even more. So he is offering a bonus of Tony Robbins AI. Now, we know so many of you raved about this after the summit, and right now, it's $99 a month for just the AI app. Well, you can get Tony Live 2 times a year with mentoring, the programs, workshops, the community, and AI for only $97 a month. I mean, what? And if you join that full year option, we have a special gift for you. Listen, people are going crazy for this. You can't buy it online. Hold, please. Oh, what's that? You will receive Tony's 2025 white Olympic gold Live Lucky hat. How great is this, right? It's limited to the first 1,000 members, so it will not last. So run, hurry, go join us at tonysinnercircle.com. This is the best hat ever. Okay, I wear this everywhere, by the way. Some common questions, just in case you were thinking. Can I try it out? Yes. Take the Inner Circle for a 30-day test drive, and if you don't love it, you get a 100% refund. And then, is there a refund? Yes, I just answered that. And is this the best deal? The best deal is purchasing the annual option when you commit to a year because you get those 3 months free. Listen, my friends, this is a commitment between you and you. This is saying, I want to give myself the ability to get the insights, tools, distinctions, and knowledge I need to go further, faster. And I really do believe this phenomenal community will give you that space to grow. So if you're all in, type I'm all in the chat or Inner Circle right now in the chat box. Join us on Tony's next live. We'll all be there with our hats on, with Tony having the time of our lives. This is an event-only offer, so take this time right now to get enrolled. Tony'sInnerCircle.com. We will see you inside the community, sending you love. Go get signed up. We'll see you soon, everybody.